Hello everyone, welcome to Diplomatic Briefing. Negotiations for the convention establishing the International Mediation Institute, led by China and involving multiple countries, have concluded. The signing ceremony will be held in Hong Kong on May 30th. This is the first time the headquarters of an international organization will be based in Hong Kong, marking a milestone. Foreign Minister Wang Yi personally came to Hong Kong to attend the signing ceremony. 32 countries, including China, signed the convention on site, becoming the founding member states. Wang Yi said that the establishment of the Mediation Institute upholds the purposes and principles of the UN Charter and will fill the gap in international mediation mechanisms. The founding of the Mediation Institute also embodies the wisdom of harmony and coexistence in civilization. Its creation helps to move beyond the zero-sum mentality of you win, I lose, promotes the amicable resolution of international disputes, and builds more harmonious international relations. The establishment of the Mediation Institute highlights a legal civilization that is inclusive and open to different ideas. On the decision to locate the International Mediation Institute in Hong Kong, Wang Yi said Hong Kong is backed by the motherland, connected to the world, has a business-friendly environment, a strong legal system, and combines the advantages of common and civil law systems, giving it unique strengths in international mediation. Ashgib's comments pointed out that, nowadays, geopolitical conflicts are frequent around the world, and Western countries led by the United States control a set of international rules. However, countries in the global south do not necessarily accept the West's distorted interpretation of these international rules. As an international metropolis under one country but outside mainland China, Hong Kong has a long-standing tradition of practicing the common law system. In fact, it is well positioned to develop into various types of international hubs, playing roles similar to Washington, London, Geneva, and Brussels. Hong Kong becoming the home of the International Mediation Institute is just a beginning, but it is a very important start. Before coming to Hong Kong, Wang Yi attended another diplomatic event in Xiamen, which also drew attention from the diplomatic community, the Third China-Pacific Island Countries Foreign Ministers meeting. It was held in Xiamen on May 28th. After the meeting, both sides issued a joint statement for the Third China-Pacific Island Countries Foreign Ministers meeting. From May 28th to 29th, the third Foreign Ministers meeting between China and Pacific Island countries with which it has diplomatic relations was held in Xiamen, Fujian. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation noted that China has pledged to cooperate with developing countries to address climate change, provide support to Pacific Island countries in disaster management, and promote more infrastructure projects in the region. The South China Morning Post described this meeting as one of China's ongoing efforts to strengthen ties with this strategically important region. China has been steadily increasing its engagement with developing countries, especially as the world is struggling to cope with the turmoil caused by Trump's tariff policies. Foreign media especially pointed out that, at this highly watched meeting, the Pacific Island countries supported China's position on the Taiwan issue. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation found that in the joint statement issued after the meeting, all participating Pacific Island countries acknowledged that there is only one China in the world. Taiwan is an inseparable part of China's territory, and the government of the People's Republic of China is the only legitimate government representing all of China. The statement reiterated China's determination to achieve national reunification, and said that this position received broad understanding and support at the meeting. The statement also mentioned that all parties emphasized the authority of United Nations General Assembly Resolution 2758. China also firmly supports Pacific Island countries in safeguarding their own sovereignty and independence. Anna Pauls, an expert at the Center for Defense and Security Studies at Massey University in New Zealand, said that unlike before, this statement pays considerable attention to the Taiwan issue and uses much stronger language regarding national reunification. She said that China continues to position itself as an alternative partner for Pacific Island countries in the areas of security and policing. According to Singapore's Lian Hazaobao, among the 11 Pacific Island countries attending the meeting, the Solomon Islands, Kiribati, Nauru, Fiji, and others have all established so-called diplomatic relations with the Taiwan authorities at different times. During meetings with the foreign ministers of 5 island countries, Wang Yi said that upholding the One China principle means opposing Taiwan independence and supporting China's reunification, which is the true meaning of the One China principle. Wang Yi expressed his belief that the island countries will continue to adhere to the One China principle and support China's position. Wang Yi also emphasized that China's assistance comes with no political strings attached, is not imposed on others, and does not involve empty promises. He stated that China's cooperation with the island countries is open and transparent, and is not directed against any third party. Professor Qin Xiaochun, Executive Deputy Director of the Asia-Pacific Research Center at East China Normal University, pointed out that for the first time, the joint statement of this meeting explicitly included references to the Taiwan issue, with all parties acknowledging that Taiwan is an inseparable part of China's territory. This statement carries a strong political message. He said that over the past 3 years, the international situation has been changing rapidly, and Pacific Island countries hold a special geopolitical position in the process of cross-strait unification. They are not only important external stakeholders in China's work regarding Taiwan, but also serve as a key window for observing the international community's recognition of the One China principle. Professor Qin believes that this statement conveys 2 core messages. First, it once again reiterates that the Taiwan issue is China's internal affair, and that cross-strait unification is an unstoppable trend of history. This serves as a wake-up call for the 3 Pacific Island countries that still maintain so-called diplomatic relations with the Taiwan authorities, namely the Marshall Islands, Tuvalu, and Palau, as well as for those countries that have already established diplomatic ties with China but are still trying to maintain an ambiguous stance between the 2 sides. It makes clear that the trend toward unification is irreversible. Second, in view of the objective characteristics of Pacific Island countries, such as their small national size and limited strategic perspective, and the fact that some of these countries may have misconceptions about the economic scale of the Taiwan region, the statement uses clear and firm language to reinforce the One China principle. It clarifies for the relevant countries the correct understanding of the strength comparison and political positioning between mainland China and the Taiwan region. It is worth noting that the foreign ministers' meeting held in 2023 did not issue a joint statement. It is said that at the time, the then president of the Federated States of Micronesia, Palauelo, wrote to other island nation leaders to obstruct the process. Qin Xiaochun pointed out that the direct reason for the change in Micronesia's attitude this time is Palauelo's departure from office, meaning his personal political stance no longer affects the country's foreign policy. But that's not all. Qin Xiaochun believes there are deeper factors behind this shift. He pointed out that one of the reasons is the development trend of cross-strait relations, with China's overall national strength rising and the process of cross-strait unification accelerating. The international community's recognition of the One China principle has significantly increased, forcing Pacific Island countries to re-examine their relations with China. Secondly, it's about China's systemic advantages coming into play. China's institutional strengths and execution capabilities, demonstrated in global governance and regional cooperation, have provided the island nations with more attractive options for collaboration. Thirdly, there is the historical foundation of China-Micronesia cooperation. The practical achievements accumulated through long-term cooperation between China, the Federated States of Micronesia, and other Pacific Island countries, such as livelihood projects and infrastructure development, have genuinely benefited the local people and built a strong reputation. On top of that, the overall upgrading of relations between China and Pacific Island countries, as well as the close interactions between China and most countries in the region, have created a demonstration effect, prompting Micronesia to adjust its diplomatic strategy. This meeting was held against the backdrop of Pacific Island countries growing increasingly concerned about the pressure from U.S. tariff policies and the consequences of reduced economic aid. Artyom Kalin, an expert at the Center for Southeast Asia, Australia, and Oceania Studies of the Institute of Oriental Studies at the Russian Academy of Sciences. Garin believes that China can give a lot to the Pacific Island countries, which Australia and the United States cannot. In his view, for the South Pacific Island countries, China and the United States are fundamentally different. One is a globally stable safe haven, while the other is a country that is easy to understand, predictable, and committed to mutually beneficial cooperation. Kalin believes that China is one of the sources of humanitarian aid for these countries, and the development of local nations, including infrastructure construction and logistics, relies on cooperation with China. He emphasized that during the talks, China made it clear that it would not interfere in how the Oceania countries conduct their affairs. On the contrary, China would propose some practical cooperation initiatives to jointly promote economic development and humanitarian projects. For these countries, given the tariff pressure from the United States, it is very important to discuss matters with China. At the same time, He also believes that China is a partner that can offer genuine cooperation to Oceania, and that China is a country willing to help global South nations make their voices heard more strongly. In addition, to address climate change, China has also launched a cooperation initiative with island countries to tackle climate change. This includes providing $2 million in funding to these island countries, aimed at further expanding cooperation in areas such as clean energy, agriculture, fisheries, low-carbon marine infrastructure, low-carbon tourism, and disaster prevention and mitigation. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation reported that China also implicitly criticized the Trump administration for abandoning its global climate commitments. Wang Yi said that in the face of global climate change, humanity must stand united to respond. China deeply regrets that certain major countries have withdrawn from the Paris Agreement. No matter how the situation changes, China's determination to support, participate in, and lead global climate governance will not change, nor will our commitment to actively implementing South-South cooperation on climate change. Yu Lei, a professor at the Northeast Asia College of Shandong University, said that since Pacific Island countries place economic development and employment high on their agendas, proposals related to infrastructure and trade will be attractive, and China's hard and soft power are expected to be further strengthened. The Financial Times described that as Trump raises tariffs, cuts foreign aid, and withdraws from the South Pacific, China is facing new opportunities. China has already pledged to open its market to more products from Pacific Island countries, increase economic aid, and strengthen support for their efforts to tackle climate change. The report also points out that, according to the joint statement from the China-Pacific Island countries' foreign ministers meeting, China emphasizes that its assistance to Pacific Island countries comes with no political strings attached, is not imposed on others, and does not involve empty promises. Australian officials and analysts believe that China is taking advantage of Trump's policies to expand its influence. Jansen, an analyst at the Pacific Center of the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, said that China will make full use of this situation. Compared to the United States, China is now seen as a more reliable partner. As for Australia's Assistant Minister for Foreign Affairs, Cecilja Schweitzer stated that, obviously, the Trump administration's economic policies have created some uncertainty. Bowles also believes that the U.S. stance on climate issues has allowed China to become more closely involved. To put it simply, first, the Trump administration's aggressive tariff and aid policies have disrupted the economic development in the Pacific region. Second, it's only natural that these Pacific Island countries are leaning towards China and, in their statements on the Taiwan issue, are responding to China's intensified efforts against Taiwan independence. Third, the Pacific Island countries care about aid and climate change, while Trump's actions go completely against these concerns. You could say this is one of the best gifts for China's soft power development.